implemented just yet. I have a lot of family, extended family, that lives in Puerto Rico, so this is an interest of mine, and it is very sad because of the images that I've seen of most of the island that I remember how beautiful it was. It's not so beautiful anymore. But this is home, and so people are not going to leave. A lot of people will, but a lot of people won't. They'll rebuild. It'll come back slowly but surely. I'd imagine that for a lot of the beaches like Racon and some nice vacation getaways, some nooks, if you will, they'll probably have to bring in palm trees and foliage and all that stuff and replant as much as they can. But some of those palm trees were, 50 years old, 100 years old, and shot, just destroyed. A lot of the foresty areas that you drive through, the trees are just ripped just to smithereens. It looks like a bomb went off. I couldn't believe some of the pictures. Unbelievable. So kudos to the Tesla for what they're doing, or for companies that are trying to get in there and help the poor folks over there. It might be a normal day for you. Electricity's going, running water. You had breakfast, you had your hot coffee. It's not back to normal by any means or stretch of the imagination. Not only Puerto Rico, but Barbuda, Virgin Islands, etc., Capes. It is devastating to see the disaster that was wrought as a result of the storms this year. 2017, I got to tell you, is going to go down as a terrible, terrible year for so many different reasons, for so many different people in Texas and now Louisiana with the fire there, with the oil rig, which was a disaster there, with still somebody missing and people injured, and then of course the shooting in Texas. Between the flooding and the mass shooting was in Vegas, and then the flooding, yes, in Houston and along the coast there. But give to a disaster fund if you haven't given already to Salvation Army or Red Cross. They still need your help. Samaritan's Purse is my favorite, personally, if you haven't given. We're in October now. If you're looking for a year-end gift, and remember, it's tax deductible for Samaritan's Purse or Red Cross, and you're looking for a deduction, great place to give, that they do a lot of good. And they're not living in ivory towers getting huge salaries. They got operating costs, but it's to a minimal when it comes to Samaritan's Purse. I know firsthand from the work that these people do. I've been aware of their works for, 15 years now. And I've had Franklin Graham on our broadcast many times through the years when I was with Salem and some other companies, talking about some of the good that they do all over the world. It's amazing. But they do help people, and people still need help today. So don't forget, and at least say a prayer to these folks. They're still really struggling, trying to have some kind of normalcy back into their lives. Richard Spencer is going to be holding a rally by the neo-Nazis, white nationalists, and they're coming to the University of Florida later this week, and Governor Rick Scott had to declare a state of emergency yesterday in order to free up resources to prepare for the violence. This executive order, he says, is an additional step to ensure that the University of Florida and the entire community is prepared so everyone can stay safe, Scott said in a statement. The Orlando Sentinel newspaper quoted Spencer, the speaker, Richard Spencer, as saying the emergency declaration was flattering, but most likely overkill. In a video message this week, University of Florida President Kent Fucus told students to stay away, deny Spencer attention, and ignore his message of hate. The values of our university are not shared by Mr. Spencer. Our campuses are places where people from all races, origins, and religions are welcome and treated with love, he said, adding that he was required by law to allow him. So if you were wondering why they were allowing him, it's by law that they have to. He has the right to speak. It doesn't mean that it's right. And I do like where he tells students, you don't have to show up. You don't have to be there. Because if you give it credence, it's going to give and play into the hands of these idiots, neo-Nazis, KKK, these hate organizations. If nobody showed up, not one person showed up, that would speak loud and clear, basically saying nobody wants to hear your hate. Nobody wants to hear your message. Not one person shows up. That would speak pretty loud and clear. The problem is that a lot of times, a lot of people, they take the bait. They get all riled up, and they give them exactly what they want, and they give their organization credence. They empower them. They embolden them. And believe me, Spencer, this guy is so flattered that Rick Scott, our governor here in Florida, declared a state of emergency. Ahead of it all, he is just head over heels, just, oh my God, look how powerful we are. That the entire state of Florida on a state of emergency because of me coming to Florida. I mean, some people say it's overkill. What do you think? Do you think the governor kind of just overreacted here, or do you think because of what the rally did in Charlottesville in August led to, the violent street clashes and counter protests and the death of the young lady? What do you think? Yeah, there was the killing of the 32-year-old woman. That just was just terrible. But there are people that are so filled in their hearts with hate, and they want to spew this stuff at the university. There needs to be some kind of thread on Facebook amongst all the students and say, just don't go. Just don't show up. Don't go. Don't add any fuel to it. He wants people to come up. He wants people to react. They want the reaction. They would like violence in the streets. That's what they want. They crave this negative attention. Don't give it to them. Don't give it to them. And there's always somebody that's curious. Always somebody that wants to be combative. There's always people that like to be in the fuel. And I'm saying, don't give it to them. Be smart. Stay away. I wouldn't go. Wouldn't pay any attention to it. And could you imagine the cameras holding it where not one person in the audience gives him an audience? What would he have to do? He'd be literally embarrassed and humiliated, and he would leave. He would leave. He would be out of there. It would be hilarious, and we talk about it. But if we continue giving credence to these organizations and media organizations, things are not going to get better. It just adds fuel to their flame, and it adds more hatred on our streets of America and our universities. We don't need it. Just don't go. We'll be back with more For the People after this.
Help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people, for the people, for the people is there.
It's unlike anything you've ever been through in your life, man. I was driving. This kid threw a grenade at us. It went right over our vehicle. It was 12 years old.
The shockwave went through my head, rattled up my brain, and left.
Danger is around you 360 degrees at all times, and you can't unlearn that.
It's impossible to describe the sacrifices these men and women have made to protect our freedoms. And the job of rebuilding their lives is massive and growing every day. Many will need the programs offered by the Wounded Warrior Project for years to come.
I didn't know what PTSD was. All I knew was I was having nightmares. And when I got released, my reintegration was go check in at the VA, man.
My first coping mechanism was use drugs. Just numb it, don't feel anything.
I was angry. I'm trying to pull myself out of that right now.
Your gift today of $19 per month will honor and empower these veterans so they can aid and assist each other.
The Wounded Warrior Project is a life raft.
I can say this without question that I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for it.
Wounded Warrior Project is the first step, getting back out into the world and reforming yourself outside of the service.
Call or go online with a pledge of $19 a month. You'll receive this Wounded Warrior Project blanket, and your gift will provide critically needed programs that rebuild lives.
That was my first feeling of actually being a part of something bigger than myself again.
Well, I lost a few really close friends overseas, and if I quit, I'm going to let them down, and I'm not about to do that.
I'm learning to face my fears head on, to trust and see what happens at the end.
It's a long process, but I had the drive and desire.
Please, call or go online with your gift right now.
For the people is there.
Introducing the official For the People coffee mug, patriotic as can be, in featuring the colorful red, white, and blue For the People logo with Keith Allen on a ceramic 11-ounce coffee mug, perfect for any beverage of your choice. This mug is a great reminder of what we stand for: God, country, and family, with conservative values and good old-fashioned common sense. To order your For the People coffee mug, pay just $20 plus $3.99 shipping and handling at forthepeopleshow.com. That's forthepeopleshow.com.
Hi, this is Kelsey Grammer. When military service members head into battle, none are expected to face the enemy alone, but many return home and become isolated as they struggle with the visible and invisible wounds of war. It can be difficult knowing how to overcome that challenge and rekindle bonds similar to those formed in the military. Wounded Warrior Project supports these injured veterans through their recoveries by connecting them with fellow warriors and their communities. No one should fight this battle alone. Join us at woundedwarriorproject.org.
With all the choices out there to enjoy some entertainment, wouldn't it just be nice to have something that didn't cost an arm or a leg? I found something that does just that. It's called 123 Ready TV. It's one of the most remarkable apps available to start watching all of those movies and TV shows for one incredible price, just $19.99. And that's a one-time only price. Recap: all your movies, current and classic, and sports and news, and so much more. So cut the cable and stop spending money at the movies when you can truly have it all at your fingertips. No commercials, just all the entertainment you desire. 123 Ready TV is available for Windows and all Android devices. Get your 123 Ready TV for just $19.99 at forthepeopleshow.com. That's forthepeopleshow.com. Just click on the store page to get yours now and start enjoying entertainment the way it was supposed to be. Fun. Your daily dose of common sense is back on your radio or your smartphone device. ForThePeoplesShow.com is where you can find us online. At Newsmax today, Brian Freeman wrote something pretty impressive. The headline: Bolton says unfixable Iran deal must be abandoned. Interesting, because John Bolton, obviously the former ambassador to the UN, kind of knows Iran very, very well. He's a pundit on TV, very intelligent. I have a lot of respect for John Bolton. He says, now that President Donald Trump has announced, this is Brian Freeman saying, has announced the U.S. will stay in the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action while refusing to certify under the American law, the deal is in the national interest. Congress will have to decide what next step to take, with many offering proposed changes. So Bolton insisted it should be remembered for those who say the agreement must be preserved because Iran is not violating the deal. It is neither dishonorable nor unusual for countries to withdraw from international agreements that contravene the vital interests. And he gives an example, which this guy's an historian, which is terrific. So he says, here's the example. He said, with George W., not H., George W. Bush's notice of withdrawal in 2001 for the 1972 Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty. And even though it was not clear Russia was violating it, what was important was the agreement was no longer strategically wise for the U.S. Strategically. So Bolton said that Western powers collapse from their original instance in its intents, that it would not even negotiate unless Iran agreed to suspend all enrichment-related activities, was a grave error because regardless of the treaty's